Far too long, we've been silent, not by others, but by the lies you have been telling yourself. Lies that make you think you don't matter, that your voice doesn't count, that standing up for yourself is too much. But the truth is, your silence is costing you your life, your power, your children's future, and every time you let that silence win, you give away more than you realize. Your voice is the first line of defense, the loudest statement of existence. It's what we tell the world who you are, what you need, and where your boundaries lie. It's what keeps you safe from manipulation, abuse, and neglect. But silence is deadly. It's the invisible hand that pulls you into victimhood. That thing that keeps you trapped in fear. And worst of all, the thing that could put your children in harm's way. It's time to wake up. It's time to start whispering and start screaming. Your voice is the lifeline you have been neglecting far too long. And now we're going to tell you the power you have of having a voice. Your voice is your identity. Your voice is the one thing no one can take from you unless you let them. It's yours to command, to express, to defend your very existence. Every time you fail to use it, you surrender a part who you are. Your silence isn't peaceful. It's a compromise. It's you telling the world that you don't deserve to be heard. Without your voice, you become invisible. You always allow yourself to be overlooked, dismissed, trampled on, and taken advantage of. Your voice is a beacon, your statement to the world that you matter. When you don't speak, you disappear into the shadows. The savage truth of it all is a world that can't hear you would eventually forget you exist. Use your voice as a weapon. You're at war, whether it's with your partner who manipulates, a bully at work, or a world that constantly tries to tell you you're not enough. Your voice is your defense mechanism. It's a tool that sets boundaries, challenges injustice, and demands respect. Every time you stay silent, you are giving away your power to others. You are surrendering your ability to protect yourself. The moment you find your voice, you stop being a victim. You no longer let people walk all over you. Your voice is the power to stop harm before it starts. The savage truth of it all is a world of silence is a world where predators thrive. They will exploit your fears of speaking up until there's nothing left to protect. Use your voice as a shield. When you speak up, you stop the cycle of manipulation and abuse. When you choose to speak, you draw a line in the sand. In any conflict or dangerous situation, your voice is your first defense against escalation. Whether you're setting the boundary or expressing a need, your words can be de-escalated a conflict and prevent violence, or perhaps just make you heard. If you have the courage to stand up and say, "Stop, this isn't okay," that's the first step you're keeping yourself safe. You don't need to yell, but you do need to be heard. In the moments of tension, Your voice can be the calming in the storm. The dangers of silence, the consequences you can't afford to ignore, are silence equals submission. Silence in the face of the aggressor or manipulation is perceived as submission when you don't speak. You send the message that whatever is happening to you is acceptable. Think about it. When you don't set boundaries, when you let people trample all over you, they learn that you don't matter. They will push harder and harder until you're invisible. The real dangers of silence is that it leads to surrender. It surrenders of your rights, your dignity, and your future. The truth of it all. Every time you stay silent, you're giving someone permission to keep taking from you. The cost to your children is a legacy of silence. Silence isn't just a danger for you, it's toxic for your children as well. When you teach your children to remain silent in the face of adversity, you are teaching them to accept victimhood. You are teaching them that their voice doesn't matter and they don't deserve to be heard and they should always back down. Children learn by example. If you stay silent in a toxic situation, whether it's at work, a relationship, or in public, you show them that silence is their only option when faced with challenges. This is a dangerous foundation. They grow up thinking that they're not allowed to speak their truth and demand respect or to stand up for themselves. They'll be walking targets, vulnerable and to manipulation, bullying, and abuse. What's the truth of it all? If you don't teach your children to speak up, the world will teach them that silence equals submission. And in that silence, predators will find their prey. Fear is the enemy of progress. Fear keeps you silent. Fear keeps you rejected. Fear keeps you non-confrontational. Fear keeps you from being misunderstood. Fear keeps you silent. Fear of rejection. Fear of confrontation. Fear of being misunderstood. Fear of. But here's the harsh reality. If you let fear control your voice, you will never control your life. If you let fear control your voice, you will never control your life. Fear of speaking up is what allows the worst things to happen to you and your family. Fear is what keeps you stuck in abusive relationships, toxic jobs, and an unfulfilling life. Fear doesn't protect you, it paralyzes you. Fear doesn't protect you, it paralyzes you. Fear keeps you seeing that your voice is the very thing that could free you. Now let me tell you why silence is never an option. Silence keeps you small. Let me make this clear. When you choose silence, you choose to stay small. You're not small. You're not a force that will never see the dawn of its storm. You're a force to be reckoned with. Your voice is your strong declaration that you're not willing to be invisible, not willing to let people trample on your dreams and certainly not willing to watch your children live in fear. Smallness is not your destiny. You were meant to stand tall and speak boldly. Silence is not humility, it's self-sabotage. The price of silence. If you stay silent too long, eventually you will find yourself in a cage built by your own hands. What happens when you never speak the truth? You lose yourself. You'll end up questioning everything you once believed. You'll feel trapped in your life and never wanted, surrounded by people who never even knew what you stood for in the beginning because you never spoke up. And one day, you'll look back and wonder, what could have I done if I just said something? Your voice is not just for you. It's for your children, your community, and your future. Every time you speak, you break a chain. Every time you stand up for yourself, you set a new example for your children. When you speak up for what's right, you inspire others to do the same. You create a ripple effect that pushes back against silence and fear and keep the odds stacked in your favor. Your voice matters. It matters to you, it matters to your children, it matters to the world. Without it, we all suffer from something because we all play a part in our lives. How to find your voice? Start small. Speak your needs, ask for help, stand up for your time, your space, and your well-being. If you want your children to find their voice, you need to model it first. Show them that it means to stand tall, speak your truths, and demand respect. Use your voice in a small, everyday interaction. Say no. When you need to, speak up. When you disagree, let your words match your actions. Teach your children to speak up. Role play with them. Encourage them to express their feelings, whether it's happiness, anger, or sadness. The world needs our voices. You need to tell them. Don't let anyone take it from you. You need to tell them. Practice self-affirmation with them. Teach them how to say no firmly and how to express their emotions without shame. Confront fears head on. Fear will always try to silence you, but the only way through it is to speak anyway. When you feel afraid, that's a signal to get louder. Use the fear as fuel, your words, not to quiet them. Every time you speak up, that fear gets smaller and smaller until it no longer controls you. Now, I'm calling for all of us to use our voice. This is your wake-up call. Your silence has cost you too much. It's kept you small. It's kept you fearful. It's kept your children at risk, but no more. Your voice is your power, your shield, your lifetime, your lifeline. It's time to speak up loud and clearly in your life for your children, for yourself, for your future. We will whisper until you hear us. It's the Baby Whisper and the Baby Whisperer movement, saying parents, caregivers, teachers, teach the imaginators to use their voice.
Ink on the page, they're trying to define. Lost in their lives, but the story is mine. From shadows emerge, my light gon' shine. Breaking the mold, I rewrite every sign. Back on the wall, they thought I would fall. Rise from the ashes, now I'm standing tall. Erase all the doubt, voice is gonna crawl. New pen in my hand, I'm here to enthrall. Rewrite the narrative, flip every script. Outline peddling, not be eclipse. Breaking the limits, don't let dreams slip. Parakeets fall when courage equips. Expressing tears, ain't hiding my flair. Crafting my path, ain't nobody compare. Echoes of critics, I'm tuned elsewhere. Hands on my destiny, I got it with care. Breaking these chains, ceilings are set. Moving to horizons without any threat. Vision so clear, ain't nobody bet. Writing my journey, no limits yet. Pages of life, I scribble in gold. Voice of a rebel, too bold to be sold. Flipping the scripts, slow steady roll. Pen game strong as stories unfold.